Currently, one of the most sensational news items the Indian media is aggressively promoting is the sexual assault and murder of a lady doctor right inside the college campus. The victim was a postgraduate trainee at one of the oldest medical colleges in North Kolkata, named RG.KOR Medical College. Investigation of this case has shifted from the jurisdiction of the hospital administration to the regional police department. Now, the police authority of the central government has become involved. Mainstream media houses all over India has found an opportunity to raise their ratings by taking advantage of this sensational news item. Media are mostly capitalizing on the controversies about who is guilty, who is innocent, who did or did not neglect their assigned responsibilities, etc. A political game is steadily encircling the unfortunate lady doctor who became a victim of a diabolical plot. Caption of this presentation might provoke viewers to question the ostensible concern of a Bengali expatriate about this unfortunate incident involving a hapless lady doctor. The purpose of this presentation is not to express concern or criticism, but to draw public attention to the real source of this horrific plot which lies buried under the resulting commotion. Even though I have been away from my Kolkata home for the last 50 years, my interest and attachment to the homeland is second to none. I have had modest exposure to the subject of medical education and healthcare, including its administration for the last 50 years in Anglo-American Western countries. I have established a medical school for American and Canadian students. During the last 25 years of its operation, about 1,000 of our medical graduates are now successfully practicing medicine in their home countries. I own and operate a medical school along with a team of experts. The services of any given institution with special reference to women's security, let me emphasize, depend mostly on the quality of administration and to some extent its geographical location. In the context of Government Hospitals of Kolkata, since 1960, its working condition, services and its security follows a predictable pattern where a patient is admitted in the emergency department in serious condition. The patient may have to wait indefinitely before even a paramedic attends, let alone a physician. There is no service for the patient's family to expect briefing from a qualified healthcare personnel of the hospital. The inevitable outcome is that the patient often may succumb to the ailment and die. Following death, the patient's family will invariably be left in the dark about the cause and explanation of such mishap. No system of counseling or complaints or explanation is in place. Frustrated and bereaved family of the patient, out of desperation, might lose patience and act violently. The healthcare authorities or pertinent ministries failed to install any measure to neutralize violent behaviors of patients other than engaging police force to forcefully discipline the patient's bereaved family members. The next step is inevitable protest from the physicians who demand not better service for the patients and their family, but more security. The physician community does not seem to bother at all about better services for the patients. This thoughtless medieval management characterizes all government hospitals. The contemptible treatment of patients visiting government facilities has its origin in the class distinction of Indian society. The kind of patients the government hospitals usually service belong to the workers and peasants. They are far removed from the social class where the physicians belong. The mindset of the physicians who belong to the upper class do not consider their patients as human beings. In the event of any disturbance caused by frustrated families of neglected patients just described, what is usually the reaction of the affected physician? No demand for or suggestion of improved healthcare services for the patients. The physicians generally demand better police protection for themselves. They lobby such demands with the government ministers. The ministers invariably assure more brutal police protection in the interest of gaining advantage in the next election. This has been a trend continuing for the last 77 years. In the context of the events taking place at the RG.KOR Medical College, I ask myself, does our medical college have the atmosphere, scope, or mindset that may indulge similar events currently occurring in RG.KOR Medical College? Truth is, no matter which seat an individual sits on, they are basically the same inside. Therefore, the referred tragic incident of RG.KOR Medical College may come about anywhere. Mindset for indulging in similar kind of violence may also be there. The difference lies in the extent of accountability and administrative conditions. Above all, there is a difference in the atmosphere in which we operate. I feel obliged to refer to another important factor. The patient population that usually approach the government hospitals for the service are unable to express their thoughts in English. They make up about 95% of the total population of India. No matter from which class a given medical professional originally came from, soon after entering the circle of medical professionals, they quickly metamorphose themselves into Anglophone community. A sense of contempt towards indigenous life and tradition creeps in and becomes a culture. Ignorance in their own language emits a sense of pride. Knowledge of medicine they acquire from recognized institutions is nothing but scavenging on leftovers of Anglo-American West. Their days, thoughts, and nights dream become to migrate somewhere out to the West in pursuit of a better life. Rightly so, because medical professionals are selected because of their academic excellence. That a bright student will aspire to enjoy a comfortable life of affluence is a universal thought. If that comfort and affluence is not available at home, they will naturally look elsewhere. Who doesn't aspire to lead a luxurious, affluent life? In view of the events taking place in RG.KOR Medical College, I have repeatedly asked myself, what are the possibilities of similar tragic events taking place in our medical college? Answer is an astounding no, never. But why? That is the question. There is a fundamental difference in the administration and atmosphere between the government medical colleges of India and our medical college in the US. Checks and balances the US government applies on both private and government medical colleges of USA, the kind of accountability private medical colleges must prepare for, the kind of government scrutiny of both physical and academic facilities all medical colleges are compelled to comply, leaves no scope for cutting corners. Any negligence on compliance might inevitably and instantly result in serious consequences. All restrictions are designed to ensure high-quality education and healthcare services for the nation. All stakeholders are obliged to follow up without exception. Such high-quality education and healthcare services is not because of our own expertise, intelligence, and initiative. It is simply the result of installing a well-planned, well-thought-out structure of administration where all stakeholders must fit in and remain answerable in case of any deviation. Besides that, there is a well-organized and well-thought-out system of regular governmental supervision and inspection. Any deficiencies are instantly pointed out and remedial measures recommended. Any negligence, deliberate or not, inevitably pointed out for remedy. The purpose of using so many irrelevant and perhaps some relevant points is to emphasize that whereas maintenance of high standard of medical education and healthcare services depends on the skills and experience of medical professionals, far more important is to develop a well-designed plan to evaluate the skill and experience of policy makers and establish accountability of both regional and government machinery. Something that never has been put into place for the last 77 years. The way things are in India, that such a system will be established doesn't seem very likely. It may be argued with facts and figures that improvements in government healthcare facilities in isolated pockets have taken place under the initiative of some political leadership. There has been some overall improvement in healthcare facilities, but that is mostly restricted to the for-profit initiative of private entrepreneurs, which is beyond the affordability of 95% of the population. What has taken place under the nose of state-owned RG.KOR Medical College usually does not take place in privately owned healthcare facilities. But why? Because the professional skill and experience level of policymakers in the privately owned institutions are at significantly higher level compared to the state-owned institutions. Especially the system of accountability in the private healthcare centers happens to be far more efficient and functional than in state-owned enterprise. Unfortunately, however, such services are beyond the reach of 95% of our population. Criticism of state-owned healthcare enterprises has been continuing for the last 77 years. The Bengali Bhadralok community has made it a point to keep safe distance from the state-owned hospitals for very good reason. It is not useful to discuss whether standard of healthcare services in the government hospitals of India have improved. For the last 77 years, naive public impression prevails that standard of all government services, including healthcare, will improve if a given political party or political leader is elected to the public office. The Bengali Bhadralok class doesn't seem to understand or doesn't want to understand that shifting of political parties or political leaders from public offices cannot or do not bring about inclusive growth and prosperity. Prosperity comes about when the majority marginalized population are organized, incentivized, and motivated to collectively engage in well-planned and designed constructive works for the community. The supreme responsibility of political leadership is to establish 5-star infrastructure of schools and schooling at the national expense, where the entire nation remains exposed to intimately indigenized education influenced by indigenous language, literature, history, tradition, and culture. Kind of education that qualifies and motivates masses to participate in constructive works of nation building. So-called schooling designed to scavenge on Western leftovers is by no means fit for nation building. Let's return to the context of RG.KOR Medical College. Let's look at a video clip where we see the participants who are taking part in the agitation. It is noteworthy that most of the posters used in this rally are written in English. All the slogans are in English. The participants in this rally may be Bengalis, but without question, they're unable to express thoughts in their own language. Though most of them are Bengalis, but by virtue of their schooling, they are unable to read and write in their own language. Their day's thoughts and night's dreams is to migrate somewhere in the West for better living, and rightly so. Let's look at the video clip.
The trainee doctor of RG.KOR Hospital was murdered and allegedly sexually assaulted in the wee hours of August 9. The official post-mortem report confirmed sexual assault on the 31-year-old doctor. The report said there were multiple signs of injuries and struggle on the body.
The tragic incident of RG.KOR Medical College has elicited loud protest from the Bengali middle class called Bhadralok of West Bengal. The protest is now spreading throughout India. The spread may very well be by design. The demand of the agitators may or may not be accepted. No matter what the outcome of this protest is, the social sickness responsible for the violent and contemptible death of an innocent young lady doctor will not be projected to the public. It is essential to make the whole nation understand that radical reforms are needed to correct the social maladies, to prevent the loss of yet another valuable life and contain the dominance of predatory practices. Thanks for your attention. I am Kollul Guha.